I think if you had known me growing up, I've always been a chocoholic. When I found out that this young lady that I had met and was quite enthralled with, his father was a candy maker, I was even more interested. And so I knew it was a marriage proposal in the works. But
he used to tell people the only reason he married me was because I was the chocolate heiress. So I hope that's not true.
when I finally did get that first invite to Piqua, it was great to come and see, where she grew up and meet her family, but I wanted to go to the candy factory.
Joe was literally like a kid in a candy shop. He was so excited he could not contain himself.
It was a blast. It was working in chocolate, working with amazing people, and so I loved it.
And at that point in time, I don't think there was a glimmer in either of our eyes that we would someday be owning the company, but he just, really took to it right away.
We both were working corporate jobs, but I had this dream of traveling around the world, and so I was able to convince Lori that we needed to do this, and I left my job. She was able to get leave of absence, and we went on an adventure where we traveled around the world for 6 months with a backpack.
We went to Fiji, New Zealand, Australia, Malaysia, many other places, but we ended up in Japan. And that's where Joe and I got in a huge fight one day because we were trying to live on $10 to $15 a day, and he spent $5 on a coffee.
I thought Lori was going to pass out because that was half our day's allowance, and I had a cup of coffee.
I really was mad at him. It was not a joke. But when I watched him watch how the coffee was being made and then watched him take that first sip, it very much reminded me of the first day that he was in the candy factory with my dad.
And I tell people all the time that cup of coffee changed my life, and that's a big part of how our company has progressed through the years is after that ultimate experience.
So when we got back from our trip, we certainly had a different worldview. We had seen and experienced a lot. The thing that was really different is at the end of the day, instead of coming home and talking about what had happened in the office, Joe would come home and talk about how many different places he had tried to find a good cup of coffee.
I had a 3 times a day double cappuccino habit.
So over the years, I continued to watch him kind of look for this best cup of coffee. And when we took over the store from my dad, there was no coffee anywhere in town.
When I did the math of driving to Dayton 3 times a day, there and back, that's 60 miles round trip 3 times a day. It wasn't going to work. I decided to put an espresso machine in our little store and pick one. Really, for me.
He went to cupping classes, he went to roasting classes. He and our coffee roaster, Brenda, used to fight over who was going to get to roast the coffee because they both enjoyed doing it so much.
So we put a little corner in the store, and I think we called it Java Joe's at Winans, real original. And it became part of the community very quickly. So we got very excited about it, as did outside the community, and that's how we quickly started to consider growth.
Then, as we added stores and there was more volume, it made sense for us to go to source and to meet the farmers and learn more about where our coffee was coming from, because it was important to us to have those relationships. And it just fit really well with what we love to do and how we were trying to build the business from a very authentic, organic place.
So this industry is about keeping up to date and keeping current, and that applies directly to coffee and chocolate. So that's why I travel a lot in what I do.
There were times when I'm like, come on, this is a boondoggle. He's just going because he wants to go to these locations and experience these countries. But, he came back with a really deep knowledge of both of our products, from literally the ground up.
I travel to bring those international experiences to our customers.
It was just fun to watch him develop relationships around the world, which now he's, getting calls from Honduras that they want him to come and judge coffee contest. And, he was actually sitting on stage with, I think it was the Department of Agriculture of Honduras once. She's talking about soil and he's talking about how their end product is used in the United States. And it does help our customer and our business because we know what we're doing.
So I like to look at us as a trend-setting traditionalist, and what I mean by that is there's a lot of things that change in these industries almost annually, especially in the coffee business because it's a growing business. We will never go away from the traditional, tried and true, wholehearted coffee brewing techniques that have been part of our experience for the many years we've been in coffee, but also the experience of the coffee drinking public around the world for hundreds of years.
It's important and heartwarming to me to see the values that were important to my father be carried on by Joe, but also to be very important to him. And that's the way we're going to continue to move our business forward, staying grounded in these principles.
That goes across the board in how we operate in every part of our business. Especially this open area of our retail store. The details are what bring the customers back. They know what they are looking for in that chocolate and that cup of coffee, and it's our challenge every day and our goal every day to bring it to them and bring that experience so that every customer who comes in has that Japanese coffee experience that I had 20 some years ago.
We've had some of the same customers walking in our door for 55 years, second, third, and sometimes fourth generation. They know what to expect from our coffee, our chocolate, and we want to always provide them that best customer experience so that no matter what Winans store they walk into and no matter what employee is waiting on them, they get the same service.
The products speak for themselves, but the teams that bring that coffee every day, that bring those beautiful boxes of chocolates every day, that's what's so important for our customers. They want to come to Piqua, they want to go to a store in Dayton, they want to go to a store in Columbus and have that same experience. That's the Winans way. That's what we work for every day.